Welcome to the deep dive. We take a stack of sources, pull out the really vital nuggets of knowledge, all to help you become truly well-informed. Today, we're plunging into something that, well, it touches pretty much every interaction in your life. Communication.
It really does. It's like the silent architecture of our relationships, isn't it? We've been digging deep into insights from Emily Post's Enduring Principles, specifically chapters 16 through 20 of the Etiquette for Communication. So our mission for you listening in is to really distill this timeless wisdom into, actionable strategies, helping you communicate with real clarity, genuine respect, and hopefully lasting impact.
And it couldn't be more relevant, honestly. I mean, just think about it. How often do you communicate in a single day now compared to, say, 5 or even 10 years ago?
Oh, it's exponential.
Right. Our words, our messages, photos, they travel at lightning speed across continents in a blink. And this sheer speed, this volume of exchange, it makes understanding the etiquette behind them not just about being polite anymore.
Yeah, it's functional.
Exactly. It's about making sure your message actually lands, gets understood, and truly resonates. Whether that's a quick text, a formal email, leaving a voicemail, or, posting on social media.
Precisely. The landscape keeps shifting, but that fundamental human need to connect effectively, that remains. It's a fascinating challenge to navigate these days.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. First up, understanding why communication etiquette even matters. And trust me, it goes way deeper than just remembering please and thank you.
Much deeper.
Think back for a second. Maybe a time you got a super brief text, like just K.
Yes.
Or maybe you talked to someone who just kept interrupting you. How did that feel?
Probably.
Dismissed.
Yeah.
A little annoyed.
Definitely dismissed. Or like what you were saying wasn't important.
Right. Words have immense power. They build trust, open doors. They're the bedrock of strong relationships.
Yeah.
But careless words or even just, careless delivery can do the exact opposite. They can erode connection almost instantly.
And what's really insightful about Emily Post's core philosophy, even looking back from her era, is that it wasn't really about rigid rules or using fancy language, not at its heart. It was fundamentally about clarity, tone, and maybe most importantly, respect. The ultimate goal was always to make the other person feel genuinely heard and valued. And if you carry that single principle through every form of communication we have now, well, so many of the so-called rules just naturally fall into place.
That makes so much sense. And that core principle, respect, feeling heard, makes it incredibly relevant today, maybe even more so. I mean, in post-time, written communication was slow. A letter sent, days, maybe weeks, waiting for a reply.
A whole different pace.
Totally. Now, we might send dozens of messages before we even finish our copy. This hyperconnectedness means the margin for misunderstanding has just shot way in.
It really has.
So it's not just about good manners anymore. It's almost like a critical shortcut.
Right.
A way to avoid misinterpretations and build stronger, more resilient connections in this world that's just flooded with information. These small acts of consideration, like you said, they compound. They have real impact.
They do. And there's a cognitive aspect, too, The sheer volume of digital noise means our brains are constantly filtering, just trying to keep up. So good etiquette, then, isn't just about being nice. It's actually about optimizing your message so it cuts through that noise. It signals respect, which makes it much more likely to be received positively and understood correctly.
That's a really crucial insight. Not just nice, but effective. Okay, let's move to segment 2. The art of conversation. This is where it all started, right?
Yeah.
The oldest, most fundamental way we communicate.
Absolutely. Face-to-face, voice-to-voice.
But Emily Post saw good conversation as this delicate balance, speaking and listening. It was never meant to be a performance, monologue where one person just hogs the stage.
Right, no spotlight hogging.
Instead, she described it more like a dance, a real give and take, back and forth, both partners contributing to this shared experience.
And that give and take, that reciprocity, it's so key for human connection. Now, for an audience like yours, already tuned into good communication, active listening might sound a bit basic.
Yeah, we hear that term a lot.
But the real deep dive here, I think, is recognizing the serious cognitive effort it takes to resist that internal monologue we all have running, to genuinely suspend judgment just for a moment, and listen with the pure intent to understand, not just to formulate your reply.
That's harder than it sounds.
It is. Post understood that this kind of deep mental presence is where respect truly begins. And from that foundation, these other timeless rules kind of emerge naturally, like avoid interruption. Cutting someone off sends a pretty clear message, even if you don't mean it to. My words matter more than yours. It's this subtle power play that can just instantly deflate the other person.
Right. Makes them feel small.
Exactly. And steer clear of conversational landmines. Things like gossip or relentless bragging or just way too much oversharing. Often these might stem from a desire for connection or maybe validation, but they almost always make others uncomfortable and shut down any real, genuine engagement.
Yeah, those topics can really kill the vibe.
They can. And then critically find common ground and actively invite participation. Ask questions that genuinely open up space for the other person. Questions that invite their perspective, not just ask them to confirm yours.
I love that inviting participation idea. It's so simple, but really powerful when you actually do it. Our sources gave a perfect little before and after example that nails this. Picture this. Person A says, I just got back from a trip.
Okay.
Now, a less effective response, person B jumps in. Oh yeah, I travel all the time. Let me tell you about all the places I've been.
Oh, dear. The conversation hijacker.
Exactly. See how that just slams the door shut?
Yeah.
Immediately redirects everything back to person B.
Completely. Now, the more effective response, the one that shows real interest and invites person A to keep sharing, would be person B saying something like, oh, that sounds wonderful. Where did you go? What did you enjoy the most?
Much better.
See? It opens up space instead of closing it down and making it all about yourself. It really brings us back to that core principle we talked about, making the other person feel valued. And it raises a good question for you listening in. Think about your last significant conversation. Were you truly present, or were you maybe mentally rehearsing your next brilliant point?
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. Did you leave space for the other person, or did you kind of unconsciously feel every silence? The goal, ideally, is for both people to leave feeling, well, enriched, not just one.
That's a powerful goal. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Segment 3, telephone etiquette. Now, you might be thinking, the telephone, really, in this age of texting and DMs.
It's a fair question.
But our sources really remind us that while texts and emails are everywhere, phone calls, they remain a critical and often actually superior tool in both personal and professional life.
Absolutely. They offer a directness and emotional nuance that text just often can't capture.
Exactly. And Emily posts rules for the phone. Surprisingly modern when you look at how they apply now.
They really are, especially when you think about choosing the right tool for the job. Sometimes a call is just better. The core principles really boil down to warmth, clarity, and maybe most importantly, respecting the other person's time and energy.
Okay, like what?
Well, for instance, answer with warmth and clarity. A simple, clear hello, this is your name, or maybe good morning, company name, your name speaking. It says a positive, professional tone right off the bat. Your vocal tone alone carries so much weight.
True, you can hear a smile, sort of.
You really can. Then there's respecting timing. Obvious stuff, maybe, like avoiding calling super early or really late unless it's truly urgent. But this kind of extends now to respecting what we might call digital quiet hours, just being aware of when someone is likely off work or focused on personal stuff.
Right, don't call about work at 9 p.m. unless the building's on fire.
Pretty much. And voicemails matter. Beyond the usual be concise, a really effective voicemail needs a clear call to action. It's not just about dumping information, it's about guiding the listener on the next step. State your name, why you called, your number, sure, but also, what do you need them to do? This respects their time by making their next action as easy as possible.
Well, that's smart. Make it easy for them.
Yeah. And finally, know when to conclude. Catching up with a friend is great, obviously, but try to be attuned to those cues, verbal pauses, maybe shifts in energy that suggest someone needs to wrap up. Don't hold them hostage on the line.
I know exactly what you mean by holding them hostage. We've all been there. It's about picking up on those subtle cues, even without seeing their face. And think about business calls. Answering while clearly distracted, sounding rushed, or putting someone on speakerphone without even asking.
Oh, the speakerphone without permission.
Right. It subtly communicates a lack of care, or maybe even respect. It kind of signals, your call isn't my top priority, or I don't value this enough to give you my full attention.
Precisely. So even with our fancy smartphones, Post's core principles hold absolutely true. Be clear, be kind, and always, always respect the other person's time. It's about showing you value the interaction itself and recognizing the unique emotional bandwidth a voice call carries compared to just text.
Nicely put. Okay, moving on to segment 4. We're talking written communication from letters to likes. Now, back in Emily Post's day, letters were obviously the main way to communicate long distance, and she really emphasized things like clear handwriting, thoughtful composition, using the right salutation.
A lot of care went into it.
Totally. Today, most of writing happens via email, texts, DMs. But what's fascinating is how those underlying principles, careful thought, respect, they remain exactly the same. The permanence of the written word, whether it's on old-timey parchment or a glowing screen, it still demands a conscious approach.
It really does. And what's interesting is seeing how that core intention connection, a clarity, translates across these vastly different mediums and speeds. Take emails, for example. They're kind of the modern letter, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So always start with a clear, polite greeting. Just jumping straight into the message can feel really abrupt, even impersonal.
A simple hi or hello goes a long way.
It does. And be concise, but not curt. There's a huge difference between a blunt, got it, and something a bit more thoughtful like, thanks for sending this over, I've received it. Curtness, especially when it's just written words, can easily be misread as annoyance or disrespect, whereas just a slightly longer, warmer message avoids that ambiguity.
That's a big one for emails, the tone ambiguity.
Yeah. Huge. Which leads to the next point. Consider tone. Without body language, without vocal inflection, tone is just so easily misread online. Always take that extra second to add a bit of warmth or clarity where it might be needed. It actually requires a bit of cognitive empathy, trying to imagine how your words might land on the other side.
Right, read it back as if you were receiving it. Okay, what about texts? The super quick connect.
Yeah, texts. Here, context is absolutely key. Quick, casual shorthand. Fine with close friends who get your style. But in professional or more formal context, probably best to avoid shorthand and excessive emojis unless the relationship clearly allows for it. Knowing how to sort of code switch your communication style is vital.
Good point. And please, please avoid all caps.
Oh, the online yelling.
Yes. While sometimes people use it just for emphasis, research actually shows that all caps text can often be perceived as aggressive or demanding, even angry. It can trigger an immediate negative emotional response in the reader. It just instantly puts up these psychological barriers.
It really can be jarring. Also, for texts, respect boundaries. Not every single message requires an instant reply. That expectation of immediate response can be a major source of pressure for people. Sometimes a polite delay actually communicates that you're taking their message seriously, not just firing back instantly.
That's counterintuitive, but makes sense. Give it thought.
Exactly. And while we're on written communication, let's not forget the enduring power of handwritten notes.
You think they still matter?
Immensely, yes. A handwritten thank you note probably carries more impact today than ever, precisely because it's become so rare. Emily Post would absolutely insist. If someone hosts you, gives you a thoughtful gift, or extends a significant kindness, a thank you note is never ever out of style. It's this tangible expression of gratitude. It takes effort, which makes the message of appreciation feel even stronger.
Yeah, the effort involved definitely amplifies the message.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping this section up, what does this all mean for you, our listener? It's about thinking. What impression does your written communication consistently leave? Emily's guidance seems clear. Aim to make it clear, warm, and respectful. It's about building those bridges, and maybe just as importantly, maintaining them with every single word you type or write.
Well said. Okay, moving to segment 5, let's look at invitations and responses. A foundation of social planning. This seems straightforward, but Emily Post was absolutely firm on one cardinal rule here.
Let me guess. RSVP.
Exactly. Always respond to an invitation. This isn't just about being polite. She saw it as a fundamental social contract.
It seems so simple, but it feels like a rule that gets forgotten surprisingly often today. Why is promptness so critical?
Well, think about it from the host's perspective. Whether the invite comes via paper, email, text, whatever replying promptly matters hugely. Silence creates immense uncertainty and, frankly, frustration for the host.
Yeah, they're left hanging wondering, are they coming? Do I need to count them in? How much food should I order? Where do I seat them? It just adds this unnecessary layer of stress and work.
Precisely. And how you respond matters too. If you have to decline, do it graciously. Something simple like, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm truly sorry I can't make it this time, but I really appreciate you thinking of me. Focus on the appreciation. You don't usually need a long, elaborate excuse.
Good point. Keep it simple and grateful.
And if you accept, then you really need to follow through. Bailing at the absolute last minute without a truly compelling reason, like a genuine emergency, is one of the most discourteous things you can do. It directly impacts the host's efforts, their planning, and often their wallet.
Right, because practically speaking, hosts rely on those accurate head counts for everything: food, drinks, seating, maybe even favors or materials. Your response, your commitment, it's a small act of courtesy with a really big impact on someone else's planning and effort.
It really is. It was true in Emily's day, and it's absolutely true now, maybe even more so with complex event planning.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Because now we take all these timeless principles and apply them to our newest communication frontier. Segment 6, digital communication, social media, the new etiquette landscape, Instagram, X, TikTok, all of it. This is where we arguably need Emily Post's kind of wisdom more than ever.
I agree. It's a wild west sometimes. Her heirs have actually done a good job updating her guidance for this digital age, and it's striking how the core principles hold up. Kindness, respect, and awareness.
So how do those translate online?
Well, it's remarkable how these foundational ideas work across centuries, especially in an environment as, well, fluid as the digital world. The anonymity or perceived anonymity and the distance of online interaction, these often trigger what psychologists call the online disinhibition effect.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, our brains sometimes struggle to fully process the social consequences of what we say online because that immediate feedback loop, seeing someone's reaction on their face, is missing.
Ah, makes sense. No immediate cringe factor if you say something dumb.
Exactly, which leads directly to the first key principle for online life. Think before you post. It sounds simple, but ask yourself this powerful question. Would I say this exact thing to this person's face, in this tone? If the answer is no, or even maybe not, then don't type it. Emily Post's advice, in a way, implicitly bridges that disinhibition gap. It forces us to engage our social empathy before we hit send or post, kind of countering our natural digital impulsivity.
That's a great mental check.
Oh.
What I say to their face. Okay, what else?
Second, privacy matters. Hugely. Never, ever share someone else's news, their photos, or personal information without getting their explicit permission first. The lines between public and private are constantly blurring online, we know that, but the principle of consent, that remains absolute. Just because you can share something doesn't mean you should.
Critical point. Consent is key.
Third, the tone check again. Sarcasm, complex humor, subtle nuances they rarely translate well online. They get misinterpreted constantly. It's often wise to assume the least charitable interpretation of your words and adjust your phrasing accordingly. It takes conscious effort to convey tone clearly through text alone.
Yeah, better to be clear than accidentally offensive.
Definitely. Fourth, meaningful engagement. If someone shared something significant, something personal, or clearly makes an effort with a post, try to acknowledge it beyond just a quick like. A thoughtful comment, even a short one, shows you've actually processed their message and that you care. It builds real connection even through a screen.
Goes beyond just scrolling and tapping.
Right. And finally, maybe most critically in the digital age, separate public from private and always consider permanence. What you post online often lives forever. It can be screenshotted, shared, resurfaced years later, long after you've forgotten you even wrote it. Emily Post would probably ask us to consider, will this message, this post, this comment reflect the person I want to be remembered as 5, 10, 20 years from now? Your digital footprint is increasingly becoming part of your legacy.
Wow. That last point is, for me, the ultimate aha moment right there. It makes you realize digital etiquette isn't some totally new set of alien rules. It's just the modern version of Emily Post's careful handwritten letters. The medium changes drastically, the speed increases exponentially, but those fundamental principles, respectful, thoughtful, impactful interaction, they don't change at all. It's still about leaving a considered and hopefully positive impression.
Precisely. And that permanence of our digital footprints means our online interactions carry significant weight, arguably sometimes even more weight than a fleeting spoken word that might be forgotten. It really demands a heightened sense of responsibility from all of us.
Okay, so we've taken quite the deep dive into communication etiquette today, using Emily Post's enduring wisdom as our guide. Let's just quickly recap those key themes for you. First, good conversation. It's that delicate dance of truly speaking and truly listening. Presence matters.
Second, telephone etiquette, still vital, demands warmth, clarity, and really respecting the other person's time and energy.
Third, written communication notes, emails, texts. It profoundly shapes how people see us. Our words have permanence.
Fourth, invitations. They always, always require a prompt and gracious response. It's that basic social contract.
And fifth, digital communication. It demands extraordinary thoughtfulness. Words online have real lasting impact, and we have to actively bridge that empathy gap created by the screen.
Absolutely. And that leads us nicely to a challenge for you, our listener. For this coming week, maybe choose just one area of communication to actively refine, to really deep dive into yourself. Perhaps it's making a conscious effort to listen more deeply in your next few conversations, really resisting that urge to plan your reply and just focusing 100% on understanding.
Or maybe it's writing that handwritten thank you note you might normally skip, giving that extra touch of personal, tangible gratitude.
Or maybe it's even simpler. Maybe it's just pausing for 5 extra seconds before you post something online, just long enough to engage that, what I say to their face, mental check we talked about.
Pick one, just one thing. Practice it consistently this week. And just notice. Notice how that subtle, intentional shift might change your relationships, your interactions, even just how you feel about communicating. Remember, end of the day, good communication isn't ultimately about the specific words we choose or the particular app we happen to use.
No, it's deeper.
It's about the underlying respect, the kindness, and the genuine care that we put behind those words. So the closing thought is this. What kind of care will you communicate this week?